Hi, my name's Claire Goodwin. I'm from the northeastern part of the United States, from a small state that's called Vermont, and I have been teaching English for the past 2.5 years, and I've been living in Mexico for almost 3 years now, and it's a very interesting experience, and I love it. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about two verbs that we use to describe transportation, types of transportation. So first, we're going to talk about this question, which is, how do you get to work? So in this question, this verb get, we're using it to describe how we arrive from one location to another. So for example, it's saying, how do you arrive to work? But it's more common to say, how do you get to work? We can also change this and we can say, how do you get home? Or how do you get to school? Or how do you get to a friend's house? So these are all asking you ways to describe what types of transportation you use to get to a specific place. So we're going to focus on two verbs today, which are the verbs take and ride. So what are some things that we take to work? What are some types of transportation that we take to work? Well, we could take a car. Seems like a pretty common way to get to work. What else can we take? Well, we can also take a bus, a cheap option, which is usually a cheap option. We can take a train. What are other things we can take? Well, we can take a subway or a metro. And another thing that some people take are a taxi. So for example, in a sentence, we can say, I take my car to work, or I take a taxi, or I take the train. So these are different ways that we can say to take something to work. Okay, so the next verb that we're going to talk about is ride. So there is a little difference between take and ride. So what are some examples of things that we ride to work? Well, for example, we might ride a motorcycle. We can also ride a bike. Bikes are becoming a lot more common in city centers because it's a way to get to work or to a place and not worry about being in traffic, and it's more environmentally friendly. We can also ride a scooter, which is not as common, but you might see people every once in a while riding scooters. And a couple of things that are a little less common, but you might see this in rural areas, are horses. So you can ride a horse to work. And even less common, but again, might be common in other countries or in rural areas, are donkeys. So to use this in a sentence, you might say, every morning we ride our donkeys to work, or we ride a bike to work. So what's the difference between take and ride? Well, what do you notice about all of these types of transportation here? So for all of these types of transportation, you're on top of it. So for example, here's a bad drawing of a bike. When you ride a bike to work, you're sitting on top of it. You're not in your bike, you're on top of the bike. And the same with take. Well, what do we notice about all of these forms of transportation? Well, there's something that you're inside. So you don't stand on top of your car to go to work, you're in your car to go to work. So you take your car or you take a taxi. You can't say, for example, I take my donkey to work, because you're not inside your donkey, you're sitting on it, you're riding your donkey to work. It's the same, you don't say that you ride a taxi to work, because you're not on top of the taxi, you're in the taxi. So these are just some differences between take and ride and ways to use them. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little mini lesson, and thank you very much.